What's up, Facebook? This is Devon Carter from CarTek Consulting. We are a cybersecurity consulting firm, and we are here today talking about the topic of password security. Please, if you get a chance, visit our website, www.cartekconsulting.com. That's CARTEK consulting.com. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at CarTek Consult. That is at CARTEK Consult, or obviously our Facebook page at CarTek Consulting. So again, today we're going to be talking about password security. I know it's a very familiar topic, but unfortunately, it is something that we have to keep talking about over and over and over again until everybody starts to get on board with some of these basic principles. So, what kind of sparked this conversation tonight, and it will be brief. The genesis of this conversation is based off of a new story that got released a few days ago, all about Facebook. All right, as you know, Facebook has been getting in a lot of trouble lately with some of the breaches, some of the hacks, them sharing data, and all the different things they've been doing over the last couple of years with regards to our data, our privacy, and everything else going on. Basically, what happened is, I don't know if you remember, there was a breach of Facebook probably back last September. About 30 million accounts um, got exposed. They were able to take some credentials or take some authentication tokens that allowed people to gain access and do some things they weren't supposed to do. Well, as Facebook was trying to fix this issue, clean up, do forensic investigation, and all the things that go along with, the after effects of a breach, they actually found another big issue. And that big issue was is that they were actually storing people's passwords in clear text. Okay, now what does that mean? That means that people in Facebook who had access to different databases could see your password, your actual password that you use to get into Facebook, just plain and clear, not encrypted, not protected in any way, shape, or form, just clear, plain text password. Now, obviously, that is problematic. Okay, the obvious issue is that we don't know what's in the mind of all these Facebook employees. We don't know if they're disgruntled. We don't know if they're crooks. We just don't know anything about them. And the fact of the matter is, if Facebook is storing your passwords and anything like that, it should be encrypted. That is just security 101. And for a company of the size and magnitude of Facebook and a technology company and the things that they do, that is pretty much unacceptable. Now, when we start talking about these things as far as passwords, now we need to think about what are the implications of those passwords being available, being in clear text like that. I want to throw a statistic at you real quick. 81%, yes, 81% of all hacking related breaches have are enabled by poor or weak passwords. Right? So password security is a problem. Think about that. 81% of hack-related breaches happen because a password has been stolen or because the password has been weak and it has been easily cracked. That's obviously a very, very large problem. Okay? So what does that mean for us? What are the implications for us? Well, this means that the breaches that Facebook experienced, okay, could now, or I'm sorry, the exposure that they had could now impact you even the more. Now, why is that? Well, unfortunately, a lot of people use the same passwords over and over and over again, right? So think about that. If your password in Facebook was available in clear text and you use that password in other places, then it's not only the Facebook account that's been breached, is it? Yeah, light bulb. That means that all the other accounts that use that same password have now been breached. Okay, so how does that impact you? Are you using it for your bank account? Are you using it for credit card accounts? Are you using it for places where you have PCI data, your payment card data, any HIPAA data, anything like that? Okay, this should be a very scary situation for you, and you should be going right now, like as in right now. You should probably stop listening to this little live stream, and you should be going and trying to figure out, oh man, I need to go ahead and change all my passwords everywhere. And I'm hoping that you realize that you know what, you should probably make sure the password on your Facebook account is different from the password on every other account. In fact, every account should have a unique password. Why? Well, this breach is just a clear example of that. if you use the same password everywhere, if one of those places get breached, now all your accounts are vulnerable. You got issues everywhere. Excuse me. So what should you do? Well, I just said the first thing you should do. You should make sure that you change all your passwords. Okay. Then what you need to do is you need to go ahead and evaluate all your passwords for other places. Even if maybe your Facebook account password isn't shared with other accounts, maybe you have accounts elsewhere that are shared with other accounts elsewhere. Okay, you need to be breaking those up. Why? So that you can start limiting the impact of these breaches on yourself. Okay, so that's a very, very important thing that you should do. So I got some tips here. These tips, full disclosure, are from an article on Wired Magazine. Now, I just did a quick search on these and I looked through the tips, and the tips were pretty solid. And so I said I would use these as to kind of give some guidance on what you should be doing regarding your password security. First and foremost, a lot of people, as I said, well, first of all, you should have a different password for each account. But a lot of people always complain like, well, I don't want to remember all those passwords. I don't want to have to keep track of all that stuff. Does that mean I got to keep an Excel spreadsheet with all of them? Like, how do I keep track? I'm going to keep forgetting them, blah, 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 blah. I get it. It is a pain in the behind. Trust me, I get it. So that is why I use a password manager. That is tip number one. Use a password manager. Okay, what is a password manager? Great question. I'm glad you asked. A password manager is a simple tool. They got plenty of them out there. And what it allows you to do is you can put passwords or put all your accounts in this manager, and it will either create individual passwords for every account that you can use, or you can create your own passwords for each individual account, and it will store them for you. So then all you need to do is remember one password, the password you need to get into your password manager, and then you have access to all your other passwords. And some of the password managers are becoming pretty sophisticated to the point to where you can just log into your password manager and you can hit launch next to the account, and it'll automatically log in and put the username and password information in for you. So you don't even have to type it. It stays encrypted in the system. You don't even see it. It's a beautiful thing. You should absolutely use this. You should absolutely get these, download them, everything you need to do to use a password manager. Now, there's a couple of good ones out there. I believe one of it's KeyPass, LastPass, OnePass. Norton has one, Norton Identity Safe, I believe. There are quite a few of them out there. Do a little research and pick one and use it. Why? Because it'll start putting start easing your burden of trying to remember all these different passwords, and it'll help compartmentalize the impact of these breaches as they occur. Okay. Next thing, for all passwords, if you don't want to use these password managers, then you need very long passwords. Okay. There are many, many hacking tools out there that are pretty sophisticated. So, for example, if they know anything about you, which they probably know everything about you if they can find you on Facebook, they can start creating rules of different pieces of information to help predict what your password might be. Why? Because most people use very predictable passwords. It's usually a pet's name, a child's name, a car, a mascot, something that you probably have affiliated with their Facebook account that they can predict and very easily crack. Okay, so what do you need to do? You need to get away from that, and you need to use very long passwords. In fact, don't use passwords. Use passphrases. That's tip number 2. Go long. Use passphrases. Tip number 3, as I already stated, keep your passwords separated. Okay, keep them separated. Don't use the same password for everything. All right. Excuse me. Tip number 4, change your password often. Okay, now I'm not saying every week, I'm not saying even every month, at least quarterly. Change your password. Why? Because if somebody has hacked your password account for that short amount of time, guess what? If you have a routine of changing your passwords every 90 days or 6 months or whatever, guess what? They will lose access every 90 days or 6 months or however often you change the password. That can be very helpful to prevent them from keeping access to your stuff for long periods of time. Okay. The next tip, don't trust your browser. How many people on this, let's see this video, use, Chrome to save all their passwords in it? Yes, it's very, very easy to do. It's very, very efficient. It makes life a lot easier, but you don't know that the passwords are properly taken care of in Chrome. You don't know if there's a vulnerability in Chrome that allows it to be clear text like Facebook's vulnerability. You don't know what's going on in the background, so you have no control. So guess what? Don't trust it. Use the password manager as I mentioned before. Okay? The next and pretty much the last tip I have for you is two-factor authentication. Okay, multi-factor authentication. Now, some of you may not know what it is, but I want you to think about it like this. When we talk about multi-factor authentication, we talk about something you have, something you are, and something you know. Okay, something you have, something you are, something you know. Now, you already do multi-factor or two-factor authentication every time you go to the ATM machine, right? Why? Because you have a card, something you have. And then you have a PIN number, something you know. So it's two factors. You can't get in, you can't pull money out unless you have both things. Well, there's some tools available to us with regards to passwords that give you that same capability. You can use things such as like Google Authenticator, and there's several other tools out there. All right, and what does that do for you? Well, Google Authenticator is an app that you can download that will be on your phone, and every account that will allow for two-factor authentication, what it does is it still has you use your password, but then it also has a special code that you can get that'll refresh every so often on the Google Authenticator app that will synchronize and everything every so often and recycle every so often that you will put in with your password. Why is it important? Because if your password gets breached through a hack of that specific website, guess what? They still can't get in. Why? Because they don't have the code that's getting regenerated in the Google Authenticator app on your phone or wherever you have it installed. Okay, so two-factor authentication. Any place, anytime you can use two-factor authentication, it is important and it should be used. So to be honest with you, that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna, belay this any longer. Password security is very important. Remember that statistic, 81%. That's crazy. 8 out of 10 hacks that occur can be linked back to a stolen password or a weak password. Remember, hackers have tremendous tools. It is very easy for them to create cracks or do brute force attacks or do all kinds of attacks where they can predict your password based on information they know about you. And because we are such an open society now, everybody posts everything on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is that they're doing. Guess what? It's very easy to do research about you to be able to predict what your password may be. So please be safe out there. Use common sense. Use different passwords for every account. Look up those password managers. LastPass, KeyPass, Norton Identity Safe, or something like that. Okay, do some research, find them, use them, and implement them. It'll make life a lot easier, and you can rest a little more secure that your passwords are protected and that you can really compartmentalize the impact of a breach of a Facebook or of a Google or some of these other places. All right, that's it for me. This is Devon Carter from CarTek Consulting. Please visit our website, www.cartekconsulting.com. Follow me at CarTek Consult on Twitter. Follow my page on Facebook. We're at CarTek Consulting on Facebook. We're at CarTek Consulting on Instagram. We're all over the place. So please look us up, follow us. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, share the video, and just help us get some more views because we're trying to provide information to help people live more secure in this becoming more and more digital society. All right. So y'all have a good night. Peace.